these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order, can emerge.
All right, everybody, welcome to week 2 of This Week in Conspiracy. My name is Justin.
And I'm Brad.
And always, the tech goddess herself, SADB, is here in the house. Ashley, how are you doing this week?
I'm good. How are you?
How are you doing? Shitty ass dirtball, yeah. How was the long week of us calling you every 15 minutes with tech questions? Can we get this clip in? Can we put a clip in?
Hey, this is a funny thing I heard today.
Hey, how many people listen? Did anybody listen? She's like, there's 24 people after the 20 plays you had.
And that's 4 non-binary?
4 non-binary.
6% non-binary.
Oh, I'm sorry, 6%.
Just like my life, there's only 5% ladies.
All right. So we had a big week last week, right?
Yes.
Obviously, we had, we talked about a little bit of everything.
Sure. We're all over the place a little bit.
We were really all over the place. Maybe this week we'll try to do something slightly different. I mean, we'll definitely hit a bunch of different things, but I think maybe we'll just concentrate on
a couple topics.
More than all conspiracies combined on the face of the earth.
I don't know if we hit any conspiracy exactly. We just talked around everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's go ahead with the elephant in the room and let's just start.
Wait, you're going to make fun of me right when I walk in?
Well, you are like 16 stories high. But no, I think we should just go ahead and start, like, because you can't turn on the TV or the news or anything without, like, seeing COVID, right? So this week I heard a really interesting little blurb from Fauci, who, he goes on to talk about how, someone asked him about how the vaccines are working, and he goes in to tell everybody how, like, we won't truly know, because normally with these mRNA vaccines we have a ton of animal testing, and like
that's what they're waiting for, the science to come in from the people.
Definitely waiting for the science to come in, because that's us, the experimental group, the science people. So, but he says, like, all these are tested on animals.
Sure.
But the problem is this vaccine was never tested on animals. We're the test group.
Oh, yeah,
so, like,
humans.
So, like, I'm going to play this little, clip here, and we'll see how that goes.
So the vaccine makes you worse. And there are diseases in which you vaccinate someone, they get infected with what you're trying to protect them with, and you actually enhance the infection. You can get a good feel for that in animal models. So that's going to be interspersed at the same time that we're testing. We're going to try and make sure we don't have enhancement. So the worst possible thing you could do is vaccinate somebody to prevent infection and actually make them worse.
He specifically said animal tests, and there was none done.
Right. But I think, like, besides that being huge, and most people will just listen to that clip and let it roll, but, like, he also talks about, like, injecting you for a vaccine, but at the same time making you sick.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So, like, which leads to the other thing that I saw this week, that, this is in essence a cold flu virus.
Sure.
It's new, so it attacks us a little bit differently. Older people's bodies are not accustomed to new things, so that's why most of the people dying are older people. But I read an article this week, and it said that people were getting herpes when after receiving the vaccine. So, like, hey, let me get the shot for the flu or cold and get herpes.
Are they rolling around on wrestling mats? Oh wait, that's ringworm.
Yeah, that's
I'm
ringworm.
sorry.
Right. So, like, there's so many things about this.
How are they getting herpes?
I think it's affecting their immune system.
Oh, I guess it's just the autoimmune. It's just tearing the immune system down and just getting everything.
Right. Because, when you stick an experimental drug in. So, like, the old flu took the dead flu from the year before, thought, maybe this is the flu we're going to have this year. Let's take the dead flu, we kill it, we put it in this vaccine, we shoot it into you, your body recognizes it, your body fights it,
Right.
so that when you actually get that flu that year, your body fights that off. But this is taking a spiked protein, shooting it into you, and your body's like, hey, look at this spiked protein, I'm going to kill it.
It attacks it, yeah.
Right.
But it's
But
your
we
body.
don't know. We don't know what's going to happen.
Right, it's also your body. To me, that sounds like cancer.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're changing the cells of your body.
Right, yeah, it seems very
Because it's
dangerous.
creating a spike protein in you.
Well, we'll just wait till the animal tests are done, and then we'll... Oh, wait.
Us.
Oh, wait, my aunt's the animal, I guess. The one that got the shot that I'm worried that she's going to die.
Right. And, you know, so, like, we have that. We have, you know, looking in, if people did homework, I'm not sure how many people would really take this shot because, like, when you go to the CDC's database, the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System.
The
The
VAERS.
VAERS. So if you have an adverse reaction to a vaccine, you're supposed to go on there and report it, right? But I think a Harvard study said that only about 1% actually get reported.
Right, yeah, that's what I read too. 1% of them gets reported. So that means if there's 1,000 that report, that's
10 people.
That's 10 people.
Well, if you have 1,000 vaccines given out,
Right.
and
That's right. Yeah.
so
that's only 10 people but they're saying there's double
right,
or 100 times.
They're saying there's 99 times more.
More, yes, trouble.
That actually happens. It's just not getting.
Well, you
reported.
look at the varies, like the varies that come out. You sent me that zero hedge. There was tons. There was like 900 adverse.
Yeah, well,
like everlasting problem, like forever problems for the rest of your life. You're gonna have a problem.
Permanent disability.
Yes, well,
Permanent.
But what's that? That could be you can't walk.
Right.
They don't tell you what it is.
Blood clots in your legs.
Yeah.
It could be you having to take a medicine for the rest of your life to fight this.
I mean, I guess it could be
2,600 deaths, dude.
Right.
So if that's only 1%,
yes, that's insane.
That's a lot of deaths.
That's a lot of
because I'm not very good about.
Yeah, I'm not a mathematician. I barely graduated high school.
But like it's like they tell you right to your face, but nobody listens. Like people think that because a guy comes on the news and he says, hey, I'm Dr. Fauci. I push my glasses up here in the middle. I got Bunsen burners and little glass tubes on my face mask, so I know everything.
Well, he has 2 face masks, sometimes 3.
Yeah, well, he wore the one to the Washington Nationals game after he told everybody to wear them, but he wore it down around his chin.
Yeah, I remember early on when he told me not to wear one. We'd just be silly to wear them because health professionals need to wear them. Then he shoved a meatball in his mouth.
Right, well, and it's crazy because, so if Fauci knew in the beginning that this was airborne, that this was going to attack us, that this was really bad, and told us not to wear masks because the healthcare professionals needed them, then he just literally lied to the entire population and allowed us to die.
Right. He just let everybody, he's like, oh.
Or he's just making the stuff as he goes.
Well, I'm going to probably guess he's making it up. Because, because I was listening to a show the other day. It said that one, I forget that doctor from he won a Nobel Peace Prize, said it's pretty much it was a French doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I forget his name because he disappeared after he said it. He said that it was definitely made in the lab.
Well,
and he basically said eventually, but it was made in the lab and it's going to spread and then it'll just turn into a regular cold, which it seems like it's doing now.
Right.
If you didn't watch if you just went to people's house and didn't watch the news.
Right. If you just shut the TV off for 5 minutes and walked around like a human being, you would realize that that's all it is. It's a common cold.
I drove home today on 17th Street. I couldn't even. It was bumper to bumper again.
Yeah.
Every day every Friday when you go, I'm like, I thought everybody died.
Well,
you know what I mean? I was like, wait, I thought I'd get home quicker because everybody dropped dead. And no, it's still the same. But people just need to leave their house.
Well, when people tell me, like, I had COVID, I'm like, well, that can't be, dude, because if you get it, you die. I mean, listen to the eerie music on, CBS this morning when they start into their COVID talk.
Well,
I mean, it's like Jason Voorhees is coming around the corner.
and the funny thing about it is, it's like, hey, it's not even deaths. It's like, there's been 46,000 new cases this week. Cases? What's that even mean? That doesn't even mean they're hospitalized. That just means they're just tested positive.
Right. And from the beginning, this whole thing is kind of off the quote science, because like if you're walking around healthy,
Trust the science.
when do you go get tested?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm pretty healthy today. So like I was at the VA one time, and I have to give blood once a year because they run all my my cholesterol and everything else. And I'm like, well, do you guys test for cancer? And they're like, oh no, not unless we think you have it. Whoa. Okay, that sounds good. But I get it. Like, I understand that.
Yeah.
But, like, why would I run out and get a COVID test if I feel pretty darn normal?
Yeah.
Like, even if I get the sniffles, because, like, here in central Pennsylvania, it's pollen season. So, like, you're sneezing, you're coughing. If you have any form of allergies at all, I mean, it snowed yesterday and it was 70 today. So, everybody's sick, but here we are like, oh, I better run down here and get a COVID test.
That's why I was talking to a guy the other day. We were standing underneath one of those those flower trees that smell like cat piss. And he was I told him, I was like, hey, just because we're standing here for like an hour talking, tomorrow I'm only going to be able to open my eyes.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean? Then I wake up and I have a chest cold immediately because all night I was smelling, like breathing in my own snot.
Yeah, and pollen and everything else.
Yeah, that's why someone tells me, he's like, oh, so-and-so got COVID test. I'm like, why? Why did they go? Like, are they need hospitalized? No. Why'd they go get tested? Like, this is the first time in history where people just go get tested for no reason.
Yeah. And then if you go to like a college, like Penn State,
Yeah, they shove a thing in your nose.
They just randomly pull 2,000 people a day.
Yeah, then they spin it.
test.
Then they cycle it 47 times and they're like, oh, we found everybody had COVID. That's
Right.
weird. And then like the fact that there's no flu at all. Before I came here, just before I walked in, I just want to read this. I just got it from the Weather Channel. If I can find it. Oh, okay. Okay. Flu cases almost non-existent. While having such a mild season was a good thing, it could come back to haunt us next time around.
Well,
It's like they're foreshadowing all the deaths coming from the vaccines, maybe.
well, isn't that what that Dr. Tenpenny said?
Yes.
She was saying like that she fears they're gonna push the flu vaccine next year so hard, and that's what's gonna cause all the issues because the autoimmune disorders from getting the vaccines now.
Yeah, we're kind of jumping around again. I'm doing it to us, but
No, we're good. We're all on the same thing.
but that was like, I just lost my train of thought. But what did you just say?
About Dr. Tenpenny and the flu. We're talking about the flu.
The flu,
The regular flu.
the regular flu.
Not being here
Oh,
and it coming back
Yeah,
really
that's
bad next year.
why am I getting a message from the Weather Channel? The Weather Channel's telling me this tells me why does it need to be told to you every 5 seconds if it's a big problem?
Because they're losing.
Yeah, exactly.
They're losing the propaganda war.
Because why do you need that propaganda if it's a bad thing? Like you said, very beginning of this when we were talking all the time, you're like, hey, if this was a problem, you would have taped your doors shut and not left your house by yourself. They would have lied to us and told us, go out and work, everything's fine. If it was that bad, they would have had to lie to us to go outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like right. If I always said that if I looked out my window and saw my neighbor falling over dead,
Yeah.
like those like videos in China, well, then I would be like, hey, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't go outside, man. Maybe I should wear a mask.
Yeah.
But like a real mask, like a gas mask
Yeah.
that actually stops particles really small.
Yeah, even a painter's mask. These people are just wearing cloth on their. It's like putting a t-shirt sleeve on your face,
Right.
and they think they're safe.
And right, when I was in the Marine Corps and we did nuclear NBC training, nuclear chemical biological training, never, not one time did they say, hey, if Saddam Hussein shoots that Scud missile with anthrax in it, just pull your shirt up over your face. You're good. No, that's not how it works, man, because these particles are so fine that it just passes right through. And like, when you go out, like I don't wear a mask, I go out and like I get the looks, like I'm the wacko that like, hey, look at that guy. He doesn't wear a mask. He's the weirdo.
Yeah, I mean, look at tonight. We went to both our daughters go to the same school. We went to their science fair, me and you and one other guy with an American shirt on. We're masked. And everybody else is walking around, playing the game, pulling it down below their nose.
Right, when they needed to breathe.
It's just take it off. Just take it off.
Right, because oxygen's really important.
Yeah, I'm tired of playing the charade.
But,
if you want to wear a mask, I'm not going to spit on your face and call you a loser.
like you do to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you, as soon as you see me without my mask on, you start screaming, put your mask on, you're killing everybody.
Right.
It's like, why did you leave your house today if you're that afraid?
Right. And from the very beginning, like the propaganda, the push for the propaganda was perfect. How they were like, your mask protects me and my mask protects you.
It's always about saving someone else. It's the perfect liberal way of thought, too. It offends me when people tell you, we got to worry about your safety. We got to worry about everybody's safety. I'm like, I'm here. I chose to be here. I'm an adult.
Yeah,
I'm a male. I made my own decision to be here.
I bathed this morning. If I pick my nose and put it in my mouth, I'm gross. And, like, I deserve to get sick.
Yeah. Yeah, I choose to shower twice a week. I'm clean.
Right,
You know what I mean? But I just don't want to be told. That's the liberal way of thought. Like, we know better. We know what's good for you.
Well, absolutely. That's
And if
socialist, fascist,
yes. If you don't
communist
listen,
government speak, dude.
and,
101.
what's sad is they pull like there's like old ladies that are like nice. There's nice old ladies.
Yeah.
And they think they're like, oh, we're helping you, but they're not like they're not evil.
They just don't understand.
They just don't understand. But and then you want to yell at them, but they're nice.
Right. I don't want to yell at the dude make a minimum wage outside Walmart who's telling me to put a mask on.
Right.
But like I also want to like scold him, like, hey, these masks don't work. But hey, don't worry because Johnson & Johnson is now back on the market.
Woo!
1 week later.
Wow, they fixed it in 1 week.
1 week. I'm sure they got a ton of research in.
It must have been all the animal tests they ran in that week.
Yeah. Well, actually, what they're saying is, the benefits far outweigh risks from a rare blood clot. And that's from the Washington Post. So, hey, you people who might form a rare blood clot and die, we don't give a crap about you.
Yeah.
Just like we didn't give a crap about our little babies when we were throwing baby powder on their sensitive areas full of asbestos.
Asbestos, yeah.
Even though we knew it would kill you.
It's no problem. Don't worry about it. Then no one even know. Like you could walk down the street and talk to about 100 people. I bet you 10 people even know what you're even talking about.
I know. And but like that was a huge story. I mean, all you got to do is watch like your free channels, and like you will see if you've been affected by the Johnson & Johnson. Call this number.
Yeah, like the class action lawsuit.
Yeah,
but it's like I think Ashley looked it up last week. It was like $2.6 billion. It was like the second or third largest lawsuit in the history of the United States, and no one knows.
Well, I know how they get away with all this stuff. Didn't you hear something about that today? About the some of the acts that have gone through Congress?
Yeah, no, they were. I was listening to Grand America there, and they were talking about the Act of '86. They had Dr. Andrew Wakefield on, and I guess the Act of '86 it protects any manufacturer and doctor. They cannot be sued or held liable for any problems that happen with vaccines.
So let me get this straight. If I own a restaurant and I put poison into the food and everybody falls over dead, I won't be held responsible? Or is that only if I wear a suit and pump it into our kids in asbestos?
Yeah, no, it's only if you're a white drug dealer. Yeah,
that's
the only way that you can get away with it.
Right.
And you have money to pay, lobbyists. And then the new PrEP Act, is that what it's called? I think it's called the PrEP Act. The PrEP Act, that protects the manufacturer, anybody who handles it, any deliveries, anything like that, the person who gives it, the drugstore that, if they have it, anybody that touches it is protected now.
Oh, well, that makes sense. I mean, why not give out an experimental drug and then claim zero liability?
Well,
that's a perfect business model.
That's what that Dr. Andrew Wakefield said. He said, this is what started their, like the first act in '86 started their money building scheme because they can't be sued. The state, like half the states, I don't know what number it is. They said, I can't remember, but they said exactly what number of states have you have to get a vaccine to go to school.
Yeah, like pretty much all the states.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, some of them have like this state,
like probably Utah, where the Mormons are running around.
Yes.
They probably don't.
Here too, you can get a religious exemption,
right.
but others so that means all those kids, like millions of kids every year, gets vaccinated. They don't get sued. They get all that money. They're pumping all that money in. Now it's just like, hey, we're going to buy lobbyists. Hey, we're going to pay this actor to say whatever we want. It's this giant marketing machine now.
Yeah, because all they have is a constant mandatory flow of cash.
Right. It's just like No Agenda said. This is like the greatest marketing scheme of all time.
Right.
They're just pushing it out so everybody's buying into it. It's unbelievable. NBC had a damn show the other night about roll up your sleeve. All these like actors and musicians were on there telling you just get a vaccine. And like, did they get it? We don't know. Yeah. Well, the other day they were talking about it on another show. I couldn't remember what it was, but it was an influencer on Instagram said
she got paid.
She said just so you guys know, they offered me like X amount of dollars, like a couple $100,000 to say I got the vaccine. I didn't even get it.
Yeah, just to say.
Just to say it. She said, well, I'm probably going to get it, but they were going to pay me just to say I got it.
Yeah, because I thought only old people and first responders were allowed to
Well, the most important people are the influencers. The influencer.
Yeah, right.
Just,
and like Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, when you're overseas and you get COVID.
Yeah.
And your wife.
Yeah,
you get the vaccine.
Tom Hanks and ass models.
Yeah, right.
The two most important people. Well, who knows what he does to children. We'll get into that another time.
I mean, so, like, I was reading some of this, and, like, the College of Physicians of Philadelphia says the entire process from start to end for the normal vaccine can take anywhere from 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
And here we are, what? 13, 14,
10 months.
15 months after. Well,
yeah.
I mean, they just brought them out in December.
Right.
But so you figure from, let's say, March of last year is when they shut everything down.
Right.
So March to December, they had a vaccine up.
Sure. Well, they were hammering Europe before us.
Right. So, I mean, it would be great. Like, I would love to own a business. Didn't we used to have guys who drove around on wagons and would, like, piss in a bottle and say, like, you can regrow your hair? Just a nickel.
What are they actually?
Snake oil salesman.
Hey, you don't talk unless me or Brad look at you.
Oh, sorry.
Unless we give you the Wayne's World countdown. But, like, I thought we outlawed all this stuff. And I think listening to that podcast that you did about the 1986 Act, I believe it was because, was it the rubella
it
was making kids sick.
Yes.
And the vaccine companies went to Congress and literally said, hey, we just won't make vaccines anymore. So measles, smallpox, they'll all come back. We want total immunity. And just like with this, I was listening to it. It could have been No Agenda, where they were talking about when they went to like Venezuela or one of them South America countries. Whichever one of the companies, whether it was Moderna or Johnson & Johnson or the other one, Pfizer, they were like, we want total immunity. Yeah. And the government was like, well, I don't know. And they were like, well, then we want guaranteed assets. So like they literally got government assets.
They wanted military installations. Yes! They wanted to own military
we'll
installations.
Own your military base if you try to sue us. And they got it. Because everybody's so afraid of a flu.
Yeah, no one. Where's all the dead people?
Don't worry. Because if you saw the Zero Hedge article that I sent you, India is incinerating people right now.
In the parking lots.
Yeah.
They have taken over parking lots and they're cremating them in this parking lot. But something I watched the news today for a brief minute. And they basically showed it, but it doesn't look like it would burn hot enough for them to actually cremate.
Pits.
Yeah,
like I was burning pallets in my backyard to put marshmallows on.
Yeah. Well, if you own a tree cutting business, get ready because just save your logs because we are going to be burning people.
Yeah. But didn't we have didn't China have mobile crematoriums early on too.
That's what they said. I don't know
where
what
the
that.
CO2 content was so high, the only way it could have been if they were burning millions of bodies a day.
Well, that's what they were saying. That was the whole thing, that they were killing the Uyghurs. That was the conspiracy.
Yeah.
That's probably what was
Probably
happening.
Uyghurs and Christians.
That's probably what was happening.
Yeah.
They weren't even, like, they're like, we had 20 million COVID deaths. Like, well, they had, how many deaths? They said they had like 5.
80,000.
I thought they had like 5.
It hit 89,000 and stopped on the WHO.
And they were probably all Uyghurs. They burned all Uyghurs.
Well, now, hold on. Now, what you forget is in December, when Hong Kong was holding their freedom protests, Orange Man Bad tweeted, before he lost his account, that the eyes of the world are upon you, that China, this will not be another Tiananmen Square.
Right.
Boom, here comes the flu bug.
Oh, yeah.
Boom, protests over. Boom, a major thing happened was that China went into Hong Kong and pretty much took their government over.
Yeah, took it over and no one cared again. And, well, I'm going to get off topic. I won't say anything about that right now. I was going to say about, I heard your guy there from the Blaze,
Glenn Beck.
Glenn Beck,
jeez.
on there screaming about how he had enough. He had enough. You know, he said all this stuff happened, like the Hillary Clinton stuff, no one cares.
Well, yeah, he's always screaming about having enough,
He never
but
does.
then he'll be like, we need to think of Gandhi and we need to think of Martin Luther King. Yes, like I get yeah, I mean, maybe I do want like a second revolution because like I'm done paying taxes. Like I'm sick of it.
Right.
But like,
Hey. Yeah.
You know, here's the thing. Gandhi was able to, what Gandhi needed to do was unite his countrymen to kick the Brits out.
Right.
Because they weren't letting them get salt.
Salt.
He went to the ocean and distilled the salt himself
And
and,
brought it
was
back.
thrown in prison.
Right.
Right. So Martin Luther King needed to convince the whites of the North that, hey, you know, not being able to eat in the same restaurant or use the same water fountain, that's kind of ridiculous,
Sure.
which is kind of stupid.
Yeah, it is dumb.
But if Martin Luther King had done what BLM did today, nobody would have supported him.
No.
So he had to make his people sign, like, no retaliation. Like, he had a letter, like, you can't fight back
Right.
if they haul you off. Like, he watched his relatives get hauled off. His daughter or his niece, like, watched her best friend get beat up and hauled off, and she broke ranks and got thrown in jail. And they didn't go get her.
No.
They let her sit in jail
Sure.
because you needed to convince the northern population that, like, this isn't right. And if you fight, like, if like you turned on CBS News when they were walking across the bridge and all of a sudden you saw them throwing rocks and bottles at policemen and National Guard troops when we still respected them, you'd be like, screw those dudes, man. They should be drinking out of different water fountains.
Right. Well, you know, back then too, the media wasn't as strong. You know, it was strong. They were actually probably stronger.
Yeah, because there's like 3 of them.
There was 3 of them.
And you only had 4
So like
channels on
the
your TV.
northern people didn't see.
Right, because
Like, I mean, if you didn't go down there and see it yourself, you would be like, that sounds crazy.
yeah.
You know, that's the way I look at it. But that's why there would be guys sitting in the booth and they would just beat the shit out of them right in the restaurant
Right.
and drag him out, and then he wouldn't fight back.
But you know, hey, having to show an ID, that's a Jim Crow law now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're literally
Well,
saying it's a Jim Crow law.
You know, but you never noticed, like, he was fought, like, he would do speeches and rile up the black people, which is, they were like, okay, that's not a big deal. As soon as he started doing speeches like, hey, why are all these poor people, what's with the rich people doing all, like, what's with the 1% doing all this? And then he was like, let's get all these poor people together and rise up against.
Yeah.
He gets shot. He gets shot automatically. Like, as soon as he says about joining together, bang, he's
Well,
dead.
that's everybody.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
Jesus.
Yeah.
Gone.
Jesus talked about peace and love and harmony.
Nail
Boom.
him up.
Gandhi. Boom.
Boom.
Martin Luther King. Boom.
dead.
The Reverend. You know. Boom.
Boom.
I mean, Tupac.
Yeah.
Dude, listen to his song Changes.
Right.
It's like all about, like, look, dude, we need to start getting along.
Yeah, all of a
like,
sudden he just-
slinging drugs on the corner is not helping.
Well,
And then, boom.
yeah, they all like But they all,
Tupac,
hey,
baby.
everybody, no one cared about Malcolm X when he was screaming like,
Yeah,
I hate white.
By any means necessary.
Any means necessary. We hate whitey. As soon as he comes back from Mecca and says, hey, we're all the same. We should all get together. They just mow him down right up on stage in front of everybody.
Well,
Get your hand out of my pocket!
One of the big things people don't realize, like the Black Wall Street, dude. Back in the day, like I was listening to a guy on Glenn Beck. He might be a congressman now or a senator. I can't remember, but he was saying how, like the dudes today that are just burning stuff to the ground, like. Back in the day when they wouldn't let us stay in your hotel, we just built our own.
Yeah,
and a lot of people think that the whole, Equal Rights Act was because the black population was getting so strong.
Right.
They had a higher marriage rate than whites did at the time.
Sure.
They started to bring their own businesses to town. So, like, I go to your hotel and you're like, I don't let the blacks stay here. They went, okay, well, I'll go across the street and build one of the oldest hotels in Atlanta.
Well, that's just the American spirit. Like, they accept, like, these black people were brought here from slavery.
Right.
And they're like,
they worked.
They worked their ass off. And then they got the American, like, they probably knew it better than what white people did. They're like, well, if you're not going to let me have my own thing, I'll just do it myself. Screw you. We'll just all stay here. We'll make our own wood.
But now they would be like, wait a minute, you got a permit to build that there?
Well, that's why.
Hey, wait, you say Johnson & Johnson can put out experimental shit and kill you? We don't care. But you better have a permit if you want to build that building.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's what they figured out. Hey, why do we let these people get strong by themselves? We'll just make everything.
Right.
Well, that's the whole thing. Socialism is basically, people are like, oh, you need these regulations. You need these regulations. Regulations is socialism because only these giant businesses can afford to have 1,000 safety features. Right. You know what I mean?
That's what happened after like World War II when we had like 27 different crack it open, baby. Just crack it open. When we had like 27 different car companies, what happened? Chevy or GM, Ford, and what was the third?
Chevy, GM, Ford,
Chrysler.
Well,
they all got together and went to Congress and went, we absolutely need safety regulations in our warehouses.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, like we can't have anybody getting crushed by our machines. Yeah, because you were the only three that were big enough to be able to absorb the costs, and you put everybody else out of business. And that's what's happening. That's why you hear Doherty, what's the dude from Twitter?
Oh, Jack Dorsey.
Dorsey, and you hear weird pedo-looking dude from Facebook.
Oh,
Zuckerberg.
That's why you hear them going
He's
in
an
front
idiot.
of Congress and going, we absolutely need regulations on our social media platforms. We absolutely do. Why? Because they're the only two big enough to absorb the cost of that. And they just want to kick the door in so a company like Parler can't have an equal shot at getting to it. We're way off topic of the COVID.
Yeah. Well, that's what you're talking about social media.
But yeah.
You're talking about social media. Like, I was listening to No Agenda today, and they were talking about the why they're tossing people off, why they're kicking people off, and they're saying it's not so much that they're tossing people off for putting COVID stuff up on the stats, stats.
Yeah. Literally from the CDC.
Yes, they're putting CDC stats about the actual COVID and then the vaccine, all the CDC stats of that, or the WHO or the WHO. And they said, here's what they said. The Public Broadcasting Network guy says, what the heck did they say about why they're lying through truth is what they said. That's what they said. They're lying through truth. I said, what is lying through truth? What's that even mean? They're like, oh, it's when you pick out just a little and make your own narrative. It's like, what, the truth?
Your literal graph or words. I put one up one time. It was about masks.
Right.
And I don't remember exactly what it was. I posted it on Instagram. But I took the picture off of the CDC website. And then I put it onto Twitter. And
the CDC website. Off the website. You didn't change it.
I didn't change it. I snapshotted it. made it
Right.
smaller, and I put it on because it was something about the difference between the N95 and then wearing a regular mask, and like only the N95s are good, the other masks aren't good. I hit like send to like post it.
Post it, yeah.
Instantly, the
Block.
fact check thing come up at the bottom.
Fact check false.
Fact check false. But I'm trying to figure out like what technology, because it's not code. I didn't write a code to post it. I literally took a snapshot. So it was a picture off of my phone posted. So it's almost like they have some sort of scanning device that can scan a picture from your phone
Right.
and tell you whether or not you're talking about COVID
That's
or
it.
anything else.
Sure.
But isn't it weird how for 10, 15 years that the social media platforms have been up, that there was never a need for fact checkers? I mean, like, you could put anything out there that you wanted, and it was never fact checked.
Oh, yeah, for the
But
last 10
it
years.
seems like the minute you start telling the truth,
Yeah,
all of a sudden you need a fact checker.
Yeah, no, I was listening to Union and One Unwanted yesterday, and she was talking about Facebook, and she said, "Hey, here's what she did. She said, I had 3 friends that got vaccinated. After their second shot, they had like a super heavy flow periods and stuff. And I thought she posted, and they blocked her off Facebook.
How long was she got a ban though?
Yeah, she got banned. Then she came back after the ban, and then she posted like he did, a clip from the CDC website, banned again. Speaking of social media, have you seen any of those clips about Burn It Down, Kim Brown? Burn it down!
Yeah. Actually, that is a good transition, because we can go into, we can start to fade away from the COVID thing, because, it's everywhere anyway. But, like, I've been saying for years now that we are in the midst here in the United States of a cultural revolution, right? And like, they're trying to separate us and divide us and hurt us, and this happens all over the world. If you know any history about color revolutions, like, this is it. But so like back in 2017, I saw an article earlier today. So back in 2017, the Republicans were at their annual softball game.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And a Bernie Sanders supporter with a list of the Republicans' names went and
He saw the movie Sniper.
yeah, except he wasn't very good.
Well, he got his finger cut off.
Yeah, so he
Like the movie.
yeah, with a cigar.
So cigars?
With a cigar. But so he went and he shot, like, there were 30, 40 Republicans there practicing for their annual softball game.
Can you wait? Can you imagine watching 40 Republicans practicing softball?
I mean, can you see like I mean, like
wearing suspenders?
I mean,
I
except
see
for
Chris
maybe
Christie.
like Dan Crenshaw, the dude with the eye
Yeah.
patch.
Well, he couldn't see a curveball. Well, wait, they don't
No,
throw.
probably curve out of his perception.
I guess they don't throw many curve. Well, I don't know. I don't play
It's
softball.
softball. They
Yeah.
just toss it.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, a bunch of old. Like, you see Bernie Sanders with his mittens. Like,
Yeah.
but anyway, so hey, let's joke and laugh about 30 dudes getting shot at, right?
Hey, well, whatever.
So he goes there, and I believe that how the story goes is he has a list
Sure.
of assassinations that he wants to
Yeah,
proceed
John
to
Wilkes
do.
Booth. Yeah.
So he goes there.
Was he an actor?
No, I don't think. Just a Bernie supporter,
Oh.
which is like gives you everything you need to know. about
He's
the
a
guy.
struggling actor, though. He's not a famous actor. He's just struggling.
That would be a Bernie supporter. So he goes there, and as he's walking in, he asks 2 of the Republicans who were leaving, "Hey, is this where the Republicans are practicing?"
It's like, where's the safety on this?
No safety, none at all. And he proceeds to shoot some of them, and he shot Representative Scalise,
Yeah.
who was in bad shape. Like, they thought that he was going to die. But don't worry, because the FBI this week said that the shooting was a death by cops. So
Wait.
No, hold on. He thought he was going to walk in there and be shot by police officers. The problem is
There was
only like one or two, congressmen have a security detail.
So there's like one cop there. He's like, that's his decision. He's like, I'm going to get suicide by cop when there's only one cop there
Right.
watching these old guys play softball.
Normally what you do, a bunch of old white dudes. Normally what you do when you want to suicide by a cop is you barricade yourself in the house. Once you're surrounded, you run out and wave the gun at them.
Yeah, you start firing the gun outside,
There's not many dudes that I know who like write a list down of Republican congressmen, Rand Paul, blah, 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 blah. And then go, I think the cops will be there, so I'm going to go to the softball practice.
He's like, I'm going to go watch the...
Why not go to where they actually work, where you know that there's cops?
Right, yeah. Well, he's going to watch... He wanted to watch the slowest guys run the 40 ever.
Yeah. So, which leads me to, so the FBI, the guys who missed the Boston bombers, the 9/11
You mean the Boston bombers' friends?
Yeah.
They interviewed him like 9 times?
The shooter down at the Florida nightclub. They miss all these guys. So this is who he relies on to have death by policemen. So, you listen, and then so when after January 6th, it was an insurrection. I literally watched videos of the cops waving dudes. Hey, come on in this way. Hey, guy with the horns and the Viking outfit.
Well, the guy with the horns and the Viking outfit, if you stole pictures from the other angle, it looked like a Maxim shoot. There's 80 people taking
a camera crew.
It looked like he had it was like Netflix recording a documentary on. It was an 8-camera shoot.
Well, there's that one video where he walks in. There's a guy leaning at the bottom of the pedestal where the president gives their speech, and the vice president and the speaker of the house sit behind them, and they're there's a dude sitting there bleeding, and the guy with the Viking horns walks in. And he's like, "Hey, man, there's a Capitol Police officer there," and he's like, "Hey. Let's not destroy anything, man. This is a pretty,
sacred place.
And the guy with the horn's like, we ain't here. We're not here to destroy anything. We're actually making sure nobody destroys it.
Yeah, they're he's like, why don't you leave? He's like, okay. And he's like, leave.
He's like, we're out of here in a minute, dude. He posed for his pictures, So, that is an insurrection. Normally when I think insurrection, I think, French Revolution. I think
we're sneaking in on a horse, you get slid in on a horse.
You know what I mean? Let's hide some of our shock troopers in this horse.
And push it. It's a gift.
Yeah,
it's a gift.
Right. Or so that's an insurrection.
Yeah.
When dudes' heads end up on a pike, in front, that's an insurrection.
Yeah. Or there's people hanging in front of the Capitol building.
Or maybe even entire city blocks burning down.
Sure.
BLM all summer.
No, well, I listened to a clip the other day. They were playing a clip of they were in Minnesota the other day. They were burning a fire in the middle of the street, and the guy says, "Well, some of the protesters built a little fire in the middle of the street. It was like a car burning."
That was
to keep warm. He said, "You got to keep warm by a car burning."
Well, the CNN anchor, it was a black CNN anchor who was standing there saying, "These are mostly peaceful." But 4 buildings behind him are on fire.
Completely.
Literally on fire.
Like infernos.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
So, have we reached the point where this cultural revolution? So, we have the blacks splitting with the white, every white dude's racist. If you're Christian, you're a racist. 1% of the population doesn't know what sex they are or how they want to dress. Yeah. And they've literally taken over everything.
Right.
I mean, we're no longer at Nickelodeon TV shows where there's an Asian kid, a black kid, a Hispanic kid, and a redhead, freckly kid in a wheelchair.
You mean a Sunny D commercial?
Yeah. Now we're at the point where everything's biracial, everything's
Well, yeah. Now the Sunny D commercial.
I mean, there's literally no white people.
Right. Well, the Sunny D commercial is an Asian kid, a boy with his wig on, a black kid, and then whatever other, and then the white kid's in the corner with a cage around him because he's privileged.
He's white.
He's privileged.
Right.
But I mean, this is the problem. This isn't a black, in real life, this isn't a black and white issue. They're making it on TV that way.
Yes.
We need, it's like we said earlier, as soon as you preach togetherness, this is a evil Illuminati problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm getting off topic.
No, you're not.
But I mean,
You're
like
not.
that. People are going to hear this and think, "Oh, these are two other white guys that don't like black." I don't care. Like, I don't want black people to get killed. I don't want no one getting killed.
Right.
You know
like,
what I mean?
What I want, see, I think what it is in order to keep taxing us, keep people in the street, like keep us poor.
Right.
They have to divide us.
They have to divide.
If people would just wake up and be like, hey, like if we all just work together, like the 1,000 people that work in D.C., like they don't have control over us. They don't have power over us. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, like, covers parts of San Francisco. They have a map that actually tells you where people poop.
It's an app.
Yes.
You can get on your phone right now and look, and there's piles of shit all over the city.
Right.
And people think I'm joking when I tell them.
This person keeps getting elected.
Yeah. Well, I tell my mother, like, we're watching it. I'm like, in San Francisco, there's literally an app on your phone that tells you where there's shit on the street so you don't step in it. She's like, no. I'm like, look, I'll download it. Yeah. And I show her, there's shit everywhere. Yeah, and I mean, it's everywhere. It's not just like, oh, there's one over in 6th and Main or whatever. It's all over the city. Like, you can't walk.
Except, you know where there is no poop? Around the rich conference lady's house.
Yeah, well.
Who lives in a walled, gated.
Hey, remember when those people jumped the fence? Hey, we're going to camp here. Remember that?
Yeah, and like 9,000 police officers showed up.
Yeah. Well,
I told my wife the other day, with the whole police thing.
Wait a minute, you're married?
Yeah. I know, it's hard to believe. Like, I told her the other day, I said, what I should start a campaign of? Like, hashtag walk off the job.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, every cop in America just walk into your office next payday, because we know that most of these places, like, they want you to only retire on a pay period. So you walk in, you hand your badge and gun in, and you walk away.
Sure. Walk
away. To watch LeBron James and see how much he shits his pants when he doesn't have armed guards around.
Well, remember when he said, someone spray painted the N-word on my house. I'm like, where did anybody get in your gated community to spray the N-word on your house?
Right.
You're like, his neighbor didn't do it.
Right. No, because you're like if you're neighbors with LeBron James, you're probably like, dude, like my neighbor's LeBron James. Like, that's pretty cool. Because, it's
pretty
not,
cool. That's awesome.
It's not like all of the LA Lakers live in the same gated community.
Right.
So, like, you're probably a Lakers fan. You're probably just a rich dude.
Yeah.
And you're probably like, hey, LeBron James, I'm going to ask him to come over for a hot dog this week.
No, you're like, please, God, let me see LeBron James in the mailbox. I want to ask him to come to my pool party.
Yeah.
That's what you're like.
Right.
You're not running over spraying on his house.
Right. And
he's lying.
Hey, funny story about LeBron James.
Wait, I'm going to put my laughing hat on.
Yeah. So one of my neighbors worked at a federal prison near us, right up the mountain. And LeBron had a buddy in federal prison. And they always knew that he stopped at the local McDonald's near the federal prison prior to going to visit his buddy. So he took his son to that McDonald's and got LeBron's autograph.
Smart move, man.
Yes, like what you take your,
that guy's a damn
2000. I don't know, when did he come out? 2000, early 2000s?
No, it was probably like 2009, something like that.
You take your rookie card, you get his signature on it, you click your picture with him.
Well, that real racist guy that got his signature, his son loves the dude. And he also likes him.
Right.
Because I'm the biggest racist in the world. I love Michael Jordan my whole life.
I know.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, come on, man.
I know.
Like Biden always says.
Well, part of the...
Come on, man.
Well, part of the cultural revolution, I always said sports was like the last vestige of, like, you didn't give
a shit.
You could have been a freaking Klansman.
Whoa. You could have been Ashley's the only one I saw with a hooded sheet over her.
Hey, you could have been the Democrat Senator Byrd, who was the head of the Klan in West Virginia.
Right.
But if your local football team, if your quarterback was black, you didn't give a crap as long as he was winning.
Right. You guys are all standing, like, if you had a game, you and the black dude are high-fiving, chest bumping.
Right.
And you're,
like Virginia Tech fans weren't like, hey, you know what? I know Michael Vick has won a lot of football games, but I don't like the black dude.
Yeah, no,
they're like,
he's awesome.
Like, Michael Vick rules. Yeah. You don't care.
You drown those dogs.
Yeah.
Burn them.
You know
Like,
what,
you know-
honestly, was he even there when his
No,
brother
he wasn't
was
there.
doing that
It's like
crap?
his cousins or something. It'd be like if I got rich, like Brad would be over my house doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and I'd be like, I don't know what my cousin's doing. He's had
And
Nazi
here's it.
flags everywhere.
Your chickens are gone.
Like Michael Vick is actually a great example of how not racist America is. So first off, it was a black dude, right? Secondly, he had bought properties for his families, and then his family was like fighting dogs.
Yeah.
He was given a second chance.
Oh, yeah, no one cared.
He went to Pittsburgh, the place where like blue collar dudes are like, don't put up with that shit.
Right.
Like they didn't draft Dan Marino in Pittsburgh because he got caught with cocaine in college. Dan Marino. Literally, he would have won 5 Super Bowls if he would have been in Pittsburgh in that time
They're
frame.
like, no, he does coke.
But he does coke.
Hey,
They gave Michael Vick a second chance.
Well, one of the comedians I like is Big J Ogerson. He said he had a joke. He's from Philly. He said, "Hey, I love dogs. I have like 4 dogs. I love them." He's like, "But if Michael Vick scores a touchdown, rips a dog's head off and spikes it, I love that dude."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As long as your team's winning.
That's what he says. Like, I'll watch him spike dogs' heads all day.
So that's part, like, destroying sports was the one thing that the elite lefty whack jobs needed to do in order to divide America.
Well, that's it. They close down sports because they know me and you and this dude over here is going to hang out. They close down churches because, you know, where everything starts is church. And they close down bars.
The Marine Corps was born in a bar.
Right.
So, like, that's the 3 things that they don't want people to do. You don't want people... Because, like, if I'm at a Pirates game or a Steelers football game or a I'm a Yankees fan.
Jesus.
Sorry.
Ride the bandwagon.
No. Dude, I like Donnie baseball back in the 80s. When
Oh,
they
Donnie.
Oh, you like him because Dad likes him.
Yeah, of course. He
Oh,
had a
wait.
sweet mullet.
He did
He had
have
a cool mullet.
a
and
nice mustache. That was a
Right.
nice mustache.
So
He still
like,
has, well, does he still have the mustache?
He might. I don't know.
He should rock the mullet again.
He should rock the mullet. He probably can't because
Mullets
he's
are
like
nice.
60.
Like us. We were bald. We
Yeah.
waited till we're 40 and bald to try to grow mohawks.
Yeah, because that's awesome.
I tried to spike it last
Well,
night.
I grew
Just-
one in
it just goes like this.
high
Flap.
school. I had one in high school, so I can remember sitting in my bedroom and my dad like.
Wait. Where's this going?
No, it's
Oh,
cool.
oh, okay. I thought it was going somewhere else.
No, I didn't
There's
go
thought there was
anywhere.
going to be a sock
So
involved.
like my buddy shaved
Just
my
one.
mohawk in, and like I went to school for a day or 2 because I always wore a hat around
Sure.
the house, and like I can remember like sitting in my bedroom and my dad walking past, and then I hear him like stop, and then like I remember reaching up and like touching my head, and I'm like, oh shit, like I didn't have my hat on.
Right.
And he walked back and he went, cut your hair. That's all he said, cut your hair. And I'm like, I'm not cutting my hair because I'm like 17, you know, so I'm a big tough guy. I'm getting ready to go into the Marine Corps. I'm like, no, Dad. And he's like, don't ask me for a single. Well, yeah, he rolled his tongue. My dad rolled his tongue. And then he's like, don't ask me for a single dollar the rest of the until you cut your hair, pretty much,
Yeah.
right? So I'm like, whatever, you know, like I don't need your money, you know. And then like the next day when I get downstairs to go to school and there's like no lunch money sitting there, I'm like, shit, like what am I gonna do? Like
the hair's
but-
gone.
like, no,
Oh, okay.
I was your typical 17-year-old who rebelled.
Hard-headed.
Yes, who like rebelled for like a
He
week or
beat
two.
some kid up and took their lunch
Flop.
money.
No, I didn't beat any kids. I've
He was
always
in the
liked
bathroom.
it. But I had a sweet mom who like
Oh,
would
yeah.
slip me a couple bucks here and there, you know what I mean? So
Oh.
like I had lunch money and I rebelled for a while, but like, you know, after like a month I'm like, you know. But anyway,
the minute that hair hit the floor, Dad, can I borrow $10?
Yeah. Hey Dad, can I get $10 from you?
Yeah, no. Where the heck were we?
But
We're talking, Donnie Baseball.
Donnie Baseball, back to breaking up America.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry.
So
That's what we want to do, right?
Wait,
Wait, no, wait. That's
wait,
not
no.
what we want.
No, we want America.
Yeah, I
we
forgot.
want dudes to sit in bars. But like what I was gonna say was, you know, when you're sitting at a stadium, because there's nothing like sitting at a stadium and having
Oh,
you know,
we're talking
30,
about
40,
yes.
50,000 people next to you. If there's a black dude next to me and I'm sitting there watching a Pirate game and a dude hits a single and scores a run, I'm not gonna like look at the dude next to me and be like, "Oh no, dude, I'm not giving you high five. Like, you're black."
Yeah.
Like, no, you're gonna slap that dude high five. You're gonna fist bump him. You're gonna be like, "Sweet," chest bump.
Right.
Like, buy the dude a beer. Like, you don't give a shit.
No.
Brad, you're going to your Pirates game. That's never happening. So you
Yeah.
Not
fantasy
anymore.
world
Well,
there.
that ain't never happening again. You're not going to buy anybody anything without a credit card, huh?
Well,
Oh, no, we're jumping
hold
off topic
on,
again. I'm
man,
jumping
hold
off
on,
topic again. Hey, no, we're like that's
but,
like church. You go to church. We had a meeting about they're gonna have a festival, so we had a meeting. But if someone stands up in that festival and says, "Hey, why are we wearing masks? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that?" There's a room of 20, 30, 40 people there. That's why they don't want us to get together.
right, because people talk.
Yeah.
You don't want groups of people talking.
Well, you don't want strong men standing up in front of anybody. That's the problem.
That's
They gotta
a
be
big
men.
thing.
No, it's nothing about being big. It's just
It
leaders.
helps when you're 6'10",
Well, yeah.
5'10".
That's why I walk around with no mask. No one says nothing because
Right.
I'm like, what?
Well, when you have your "Can't Run with the Big Dogs" T-shirt on, you
Stay
better
on-
stay on the floor.
Stay on the porch if you can't wear a mask. But yeah, no, but it's just like you get these guys. They don't want a man to go into that church. That's why they're telling like the Catholic Church. They would be open. A lot of the priests don't care, but the bishops are telling them you have to wear a
Yeah,
mask.
the ones who write the checks to the small church.
Right, yeah, that's it. They're controlling.
Right.
That's what makes me mad about my kids go to a Catholic school. I love the school. The teachers are all great. All the people are nice. And it makes it hard to argue. You don't want to go in there and argue with them
You don't want to be a goof.
because they're all nice people, but they're like, you want to tell the priest, like, are you a man of God? Are you a man of the God? Or are you a man of the church?
Right.
Because the difference, man of God listens to the word of God. The man of church listens to the bureaucracy of the church. It's like
Right, so
listen to the government.
so you can keep your
The
tax,
check.
your
Yeah.
tax,
Well,
your tax
he's
deferment.
also afraid the school's going to close.
Right.
But whatever. But
But like
they have a foot on him.
So at Christmas time, they actually at our church had different times for different services. You know, like 2, 5, 7, whatever, Christmas Eve, and like. So I go over to get tickets because they were giving tickets out. And like I told the pastor's wife, I'm like, why don't we just have service?
Right.
Why do we have tickets?
Sure.
Like, you're a church. I don't know. Someone told me one time, which is untrue, but there was a separation between church and state.
Mhm.
So like the state shouldn't be allowed to say, hey, you can only have 30 people and they have to wear masks and like you have to keep them over here. Like, no. Like, we're the church, get out.
Right.
Like the dude in Canada.
Yeah, you yelled.
It was like, get out of
He
here.
called them Nazis.
He
Like,
called
get out of here. That was a great thing. Like, get out of here, Nazis.
Yeah.
Then have
Well,
nothing. Can you believe this on
I
the
think he was
blessed
like
of days?
I think-
Passover! He yelled it right in their face, and they all walked away, and then they had to come
Right.
back with like 300 guys and surround
Yeah,
the
and
place.
they put fence up around his church.
I feel bad for Canada, man.
I think they locked him up.
They locked him up. That is, if that happened in my town, that should be enough to set a revolution off.
Well, here's the problem. Well, Canada's Canada, man. They're backwards anyway. Like, they don't.
They wear backwards clothes like the
Like crisscross.
crisscross.
But like here, like in America, we have a constitution
Sure.
that you're supposed to be able to do certain
What
things.
you're supposed to be able to do certain things.
Yeah, I know. And like,
It's such an embarrassment.
but like, yeah. Well, our state especially is horrible.
Yeah.
And like, I don't even want to get into it, but like, you know, like our governor come out and was like, closed businesses and closed this and closed that. And there's some like true patriots who just like flat out refused to open, which we went to a restaurant.
Let's shout out Bella Italia's.
Bella Italia here.
He's like true
Taste of
patron.
Sicily.
Taste of Sicily.
Yeah, isn't it weird that the
Italians.
Italians who probably came here, whose parents probably came here after Mussolini like came to power, and like you realize that like this is where it's going.
It's terrible, yeah.
This is where it's going. And I know like blah blah blah, Nazis, fascists.
Here he
blah,
goes
blah,
with the
blah.
Nazis again, this guy.
But like this is what happens.
No, it's the same group of people.
playbook. It's the playbook.
same book. It's the same
Yes.
eugenicist. It's everything the same. And if you don't see it, it's just like when you remember when you're a kid and like people are like, if you Don't follow history. You're doomed to repeat. Like, you either like roll your eyes like, oh, shut up, you old queer. Sorry for the.
I like my history teacher.
I liked him too, but it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, people are like, whatever.
He's really cool, actually.
Whatever, idiot. You know, it doesn't matter.
Right, when you're 17, 18.
Yeah, but now, like, you see it. You're like, this is the same damn thing. The same thing's coming right at me. No one cares.
Right.
And you're like, didn't you pay attention ever?
Well, like, they're coming out. Pennsylvania is putting out a thing for us to vote on. And the way they word it, I think it's to, like, take away our governor's power, emergency powers. But the way they word it, you have to vote yes.
Right.
Vote yes.
Well, it's written in lawyer. You can't pay. You have to, like, you have to call a lawyer. It's like, come to the voting booth, and so I understand this.
Right.
It's like reading the math problem. It's like, if a car leaves from Toronto going 150 miles an hour, and then the guy leaves from New York City going 350 miles an hour,
Isn't it weird how they write laws that only, like, certain dudes can understand?
The highest
well, you have like, before you go in, you're like, let me get online, type in the question,
and
then
I'm
give me
write
the
it
answer.
in Latin. Let me use Latin because that's such a great thing.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Sorry.
So
I digress.
So
We digress.
But like I digress. But like when you look, like, we already have these laws on the book.
Right.
Like, the state of Pennsylvania has a constitution, right? So Section 1, Article 1 is all men are born equally free and independent and have certain inherent and indefensible rights, among which are those of enjoying and defending life, liberty, of acquiring, possessing, and protecting property and reputation, and of pursuing their own happiness. So when some dude says, hey, COVID hit, and like a governor, like, no emergency power, no, what do they call it when, like, the president or like a governor writes executive
orders, yeah.
They do not supersede the Constitution of the United States. So why am I voting on something to give the governor less power?
He has no power.
When under, like, so I just read that to you. That's the state constitution, which gives me the power. So if I want to run my business, I run my business.
Well, all the Constitution gives people, it gives the people power. It never says, like, hey, the government has power over you.
So the other one that, like, I guess nobody reads because nobody reads the Constitution is Section 12, the power of suspending laws. No power of suspending laws shall be exercised unless by the legislature or by its authority. So unless the legislature gave the governor the authority to supersede
it has to be
laws,
voted on and made a law.
Right. So why am I voting on another law? We already have laws. Just freaking do the laws that we have on the books, and we don't have these issues.
Right. No, like, we went to eat tonight, and we went to Haas's, I'll say the name, but we went to Haas's and we ate. And you can only set 8 to a table because of the COVID rules.
COVID.
That already made me, I'm infuriated already. Because I just get so mad to be told, maybe it's the American spirit in me, or my grandmother saying, like
JFK was not killed by a lone gunman firing.
Right. Just getting angry. I'm like, okay, we'll do it. My wife's staring at me like, you're making a scene. So I sit down, we go, like, because there's 10 of us or whatever, so we split up. And then, like, I just say, my sister's like, well, that's the rules, She's like, I understand they're following the rules. I'm like, this is what leads you into a cattle stall, and they shoot you in the head and you're dead.
Right.
So this is what happens. We follow the rule. I'm like, why are we following these rules?
Right, because, like, these rules aren't like...
But, like I said, we're the nut job again. You know what I mean? I just get so angry. It's like, why? We have to stand up. Like, well, it's easier for you to say. I'm like, I told her, it's like, when they shut down, they said I couldn't work. They told me I couldn't work in March of last year.
America.
Guess what I did?
You worked?
I worked.
Hey, guess what they told me? I could still work.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, hey, you can work, but we're going to give half the company 3 weeks paid vacation because they can't work.
Well, they said, you can't work. I go out and work, and the guy comes and says, do you have a permit to work? I said, permit for what? The permit says you're, allowed to be working. You're like what do they call it? Essential worker. I said, no, I don't have a permit. Why don't you get out of here? And he said, well,
But once again, like, if anything, this whole COVID / anything should show us that why is the government so involved in our lives, dude? Like, you need a permit to put a fence up. You need a permit. Like, I called the permit office one time to ask about adding onto my house. So my lot's like 120 by 150 or whatever. You know, I live in a little development. And they're like, well, you can't build 30 feet off the front. You can't build 30 feet off the back. You can't build 30 feet off each side. So that's 30, 60, 90 feet of my 100 by 100 foot freaking house, my lot. And I'm like, well, are you going to reduce my taxes by 50%? Because you just took 50% of my ground and said I can't do anything with it. But if I put a fence up and didn't cut the grass, because, you know, they have a rule that says if your grass is past a certain point, you'll get fined for it. Like, they would be throwing fines into my mailbox saying, like, hey, cut your grass. So, like, if anything that COVID or anything else has showed us is that, like, why is the government involved in every single aspect of our lives? From the minute you wake up, so the shoes and the clothes that you put on are taxed. The car that you go to drive, the gas that you put in your car, the house that you live in, every single thing is taxed and run by our government, and nobody cares about it.
Are you bitching about your addition again?
Yeah.
Huh?
All I wanted to do was put a 2-car garage off the front of the house. I'd have been 20 feet off the road.
God forbid you do anything. Your own property that you bought.
You don't own it, though.
No.
You rent it from the government.
The king owns it.
Yeah. So one time,
Feudalism.
one of the township supervisors asked me, so we're on wells up where I live. So we're on a well, but we have sewer. And one of the township supervisors was like, are you guys on public water up there? And I'm like, nope. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you put public water on and force me to get into it, because that's what they do. They'll say, hey, it will only cost you $5,000 to dig the hole from your house to the thing.
This is future Killdozer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tread on them.
So I was like, listen, if you bring that water, if you bring city water into my neighborhood, I'm going to tell you right now what's going to happen. I'm not going to put on it. I'm going to rip everything out of my house. Got it. To the freaking...
Take everything that's worth it.
Yeah, I'm going to make it look on the outside. I'm going to keep the outside real pretty. Yeah. They think they're going to get like a nice
just
big
fly
windfall.
a big flag out front.
I'm going to strip everything out of the inside. I'm going to get down to the local humane society. I said, I'm going to get about 75 cats, and I'm going to walk away.
Yep.
And he's like, but you put all that money into the house. I'm like, I don't own it, dude.
Yeah, you own it.
I have to pay you every year to have it. So I don't own anything. We don't own anything.
And then they're like, hey, we're going to reassess it. Now you owe more.
Yeah, and we're going to reassess it with a company out of Pittsburgh, where if you have a yard in Pittsburgh, like, they think you live in a mansion. But that's not how it is where we are.
Right.
Like, we don't live in the shithole cities like Pittsburgh and Philly and Harrisburg. We actually have yards. So, like, why wouldn't you let the local people who's local realtors assess your house as you sold it?
That's the main problem. They got greedy. They never did anything for you. This is the one we're talking about.
They stole off of our grandparents.
Right. Yes, and then they instead of like being smart and saying, "Hey, here's what we'll do. Every time you sell every time a person sells a property, we'll tack it onto the property. We'll reassess it, and they have to pay the tax. Not only saving the county money because they don't have to pay someone to reassess everything. The buyer would have to pay it, or the seller would have to pay it. Then they reassess it, and the new tax will be involved. No, they got greedy and wanted right away because like always, politicians are lazy. They never did anything for years.
Well, like I always said, one of two things: either our grandparents overpaid for 50 years.
Sure.
Because they hadn't assessed in like 50 years.
Right.
Or why can't we continue, like why shouldn't we have been able to continue to pay what we were paying at the same rate? Like, so obviously they overassessed our grandparents because you could afford to run the township and the county for that matter,
off of that low tax assessment. Yeah. No, well, it's just they got lazy and like we need to get reelected. You know what I mean? How that goes.
Yeah, they always need money. You know, because we need an $80 million school instead of refurbishing the 100-year-old school for $50 million.
Well, it was perfectly fine. Well, no, we got so far off of the color revolution, I think.
Yeah, we did. We'll hit that up next week. But listen, so last week we talked about
The Tic Tac.
the Tic Tac.
Well, the alien.
Attack.
Well, there was a alien
UFO.
invasion.
Yeah. So there was no Tic Tac shaped alien invasion this week. There was no
That we know
Project
of.
Blue Beam.
Well,
There
not
was
we
no-
know of.
Yeah.
Well,
Like she
yeah,
said.
that they've at least let slip. But listen,
Listen, I don't
we're
think
closing in on June 15th.
it's getting close.
It's getting close.
But I really don't think it's. If you want to get a little deeper, but I don't think it's even from an outer space. I think it's from another dimension.
Another dimension.
Like I think it's another dimension.
I think it's the fallen angels that they talk about in the Bible.
Well, I mean,
But
that's another
what I
dimension.
wanted to tell you.
Okay, I'm
It's the
sorry.
Russians.
Stop. So, on Mars, we landed
Sure.
a rover recently, right?
Right.
So, they put out a drone to fly around, but they also put something down that took the CO2 out of the air
Right.
and turned it into oxygen.
H2O or not H2O.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Whoa.
They
Whoa.
made water.
They turned it into water.
Oh my!
They
It's like
turned
that
it-
movie with Val Kilmer in it,
No.
where they had the fighting robot. You know what I'm talking about? No one knows.
No.
Mars
Sorry,
Attack or something. I don't know.
That wasn't Mars Attack.
That's Marty Tyson. Al Kilmer.
No, Val Kilmer wasn't it. Jack
I'm
Nicholson
thinking
was
more. I'm thinking more of Schwarzenegger putting his hand on the thing.
it. These people need air. That one.
Yeah.
These people need air.
Yeah. So they're pulling oxygen from CO2. You know the evil
Right.
stuff that we breathe out that they want
Carbon. The devil.
that is causing global warming.
Yeah.
So they pulled that from the atmosphere and turned it into oxygen.
Sure.
But my big question was, so I did a little research, and gravity on Mars is about a third, about like 33 or something % of what it is on
For
Earth,
Earth. Yeah.
right? So, you know, we have an uncle who like overspends on like weird things. Like, so he bought a drone, like
He lost
like,
3
Jesus.
drones.
He bought it, opened the box, flew it, and it like crashed in like miles away. We don't even know where it is. It was never recovered.
Well, you know, this hunting season he had one.
Yeah.
And that
Then
listen,
he got stuck.
he flies it up in the woods, right by my other uncle who's hunting up there, just to piss him off. Then it gets stuck in a tree. So the next day we spend 3 hours shooting shotguns at it to try to knock it out
And
without
you
him.
wonder why nobody got a deer out there.
No, I mean, well, he's screaming at his son, "Don't shoot the drone! Don't shoot the drone!" Well, he finally got it down, but it was
So he's lost about $3,000 in drones.
Well, no, that drone was fine.
Oh, okay. But
It made my day.
the point is, so we've all seen these drones
Right,
take
fly
off.
off, yeah.
You know, they take off. So they fly this drone on Mars. How does that thing not just shoot into orbit? I mean, isn't what gravity holds water onto Earth, and it doesn't crush me, but it holds me down.
It holds water in a
It
ball.
holds a 2-ton hippopotamus down in the water.
Hey, I'm sitting here, man.
So it takes off and flies. It hovers. It flies around. So, like, I got a buddy, man, and he's like into space. Like he literally runs the local planetarium.
What's his podcast? It doesn't have a podcast?
He does have a podcast.
What? Do you know the name of it? I apologize.
No, we're not
man.
promoting this guy.
So anyway,
Well, he needs our 26 listeners. That is really the 20.
It's 25
No, there's only 6 listeners. Me and Brad listened each
Hey.
10 times.
on every app. On every app.
So Majestic Ears only, and
Oh,
it's
God.
available on iTunes.
Well,
So
he's way ahead of us.
he's probably got way more listeners than
Well, he
us.
doesn't have-
I hope to
but-
God. After this shit show.
Well,
So
he
I'm
doesn't have
talking
me.
to him, and he's got a theory on Mars.
Sure.
Is that when we first landed our first rover there years ago, we discovered that they actually have an atmosphere,
Yeah.
breathable air.
Well, that's in that movie I was talking about earlier. I can't remember the name of it. It had Val Kilmer in it. Sorry.
Kilmer?
Val Kilmer and the guy who used to sleep with hookers all the time.
Charlie Sheen.
No.
Lowe. Rob Lowe.
No, not Rob Lowe.
Oh.
Just type in Val Kilmer movies.
Anyway,
Mission to Mars, I think it was called.
so he thinks, his theory is that there's actually an atmosphere already on Mars,
Sure.
but
Red Planet.
you don't want to tell everybody,
Right.
because just like when they discovered America, you had like the Portuguese, you had Spain or Portugal, Spain, England, all fighting for territory here,
Right.
right? So we went to Mars 10 or 15 years ago, 20 years ago, however long it was, we landed our first rover there, and we realized that there's actually breathable air there. And so you don't want to let everybody know that there's breathable air there, because what happens? India starts shooting rockets up to Mars.
India's all dead. They all have COVID.
Yeah, they're burning in the parking lot.
Well, that's today, but 20 years ago they weren't.
They're tree kind guys.
Russia would have started, China would have started. So you would have started a whole, like,
race.
new world
It'd be a
discovery.
new race. And they don't want no one else to get there before
Right.
it gets set up.
Yeah, race, not like
Space race.
like running race, like a race to get to Mars, not like, hey, look
White
at this, we
Like
did
those
this.
old white guys playing softball running to first.
Right, yeah.
The slowest race ever.
So anyway, this could be another episode
Sure.
about life on Mars.
Or the fact that I don't think we ever been to Mars.
Well,
or the
maybe
moon.
We may not have been, or if we have been, why have they landed all
Hadouken!
the rovers in
In the
like
exact same
a
spot?
place the size of like the Mars?
Hadouken!
Right, because it all looks the same.
Right.
Like if I was like searching for New World, I wouldn't land like at my house and then at my neighbor's house and then at my neighbor's house. I would land like here
The whole
and
other
maybe
side.
California or
Right.
like the other side of the planet. But like we don't do that. We just like, hey, we'll land them all in the same spot and we'll drive around. We'll fly a drone, but like weirdly with a third of the gravity, there's no updraft. I didn't see any
So, like,
sand flying.
No sand flying, or like the thing just flies off the planet.
Right.
Because, you know, the fact that, you know, I don't even, like, we haven't been to the moon since 7 or 70?
Well, it depends. I think 8. They claim. I don't know. They claim like we've been there like 10 times, but I don't think.
Yeah, well, all the guys that have been there don't like talking about it.
Well, they won't
They
even
punch
put their-
people in the face if they ask them about it.
Yeah, when what's his name was asked, just put
Buzz.
your hand on this Bible.
That's Buzz, man.
Yeah.
That makes fun
Put
of
your
us.
hand on the Bible and swear that you were on the moon. He
They-
punches the dude out.
It's like, yeah, I'm a real man.
Hadouken!
But yeah,
Brad, you have to understand, we have to save money by only using the same like movie studio to
well,
to show
like,
to
Kubrick's
show the
dead.
video.
Kubrick's dead.
I always
Mars.
wondered with the whole space thing, like, so if we landed on the moon, right? We've been in outer space. We have shuttles. We have rockets. They all work. They all work well. I mean, we've been there
Usually.
The
repeatedly
spaceship Endeavor.
since the 60s. Why all of a sudden do we have to have Elon Musk be like, hey, I'm going to totally redo something and it's going to be totally different? Like, why not just
Well, he's
use what we have?
Well, he's going to be cool. He's going to fly up and put a bunch of satellites up, and then that's going to be the Project Bluebeam.
Yeah,
Then he's going to put chips in your brain. That's cool.
but
Well, yeah.
if he sends people up, then they're going to see our
How
war
flat the-
bases out.
No, you
there,
get up there,
so
you're going to see how
there.
flat the Earth is.
All right.
That's
I think
a whole
honestly-
other story.
I think, honestly, if we're going to talk about flat Earth, that's a totally different week. And I think we've definitely talked enough this week.
Okay, well, here's this. We should have done this at the beginning, but if you have any bad things to say, email thisweekinconspiracy at
At gmail.com.
gmail.com and, you know, put Brad on the attention Brad on. If you have anything,
Hey, I think I kept my mouth shut more this week than I did last
yeah, well,
week.
Attention, Brad, but he doesn't have the password to it. I'm the one that does.
Hey, if you have anything good to say, put
Attention,
this week at
shitty ass dirtball.
this week at Gmail, or this week in conspiracy at gmail.com, and put my name, Justin, on it. And if you have nude pictures, put attention Ashley. So
And if you have money that you want to send us,
yeah,
like maybe we'll set up a PayPal account.
yeah, you can send me a check.
Yeah, I like cold hard cash. Everything's going digital.
But we all,
Silver.
What else
So
we on?
like
We're on
silver
Twitter,
or
right?
Dogecoin.
Twitter, Facebook.
At this week in conspiracy, right? That's all the same.
That's on Facebook. In underscore conspiracy is Twitter because they screwed everything up.
Oh,
That was the only thing that was
this
available.
week underscore conspiracy.
No, it's just in underscore.
in underscore. You say it, so say it. The whole thing.
In underscore.
Underscore.
Underscore. I can't
Underscore.
speak.
What under what store?
I hate you.
Oh, never. And then we gonna have an Instagram page ever?
Yeah.
We'll
Yes.
start one this week.
I will get that out there as I'm the only one who's doing anything.
Sweet. Yeah, well,
We
you
do-
are
we-
doing
well,
all the
We
work.
do text you like 900 times.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing? Working. I'm fielding 6 calls from Justin, and then Brad's texting me 15 times to ask me if anything has changed, how many people are listening.
Well, how many people are listening to this episode? I'd like to ask right now. Can you tell?
Can you tell me?
We have at least 24.
Okay, well, listen.
haven't posted it yet.
So listen, honestly, this week in conspiracy at gmail.com.
Yes, hit us up. If you have any conspiracies you want us to talk about.
Sure. And then Facebook is, say it again, Ashley.
This Week in Conspiracy.
This week in conspiracy at Facebook. And then what is the Twitter? Read it out loud again.
In underscore conspiracy.
That's it. Have a nice week. I thank you for listening if you ever listen. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Later, bro.
Hadouken! Hadouken!